if I take the screen away from my kid, they're going to lose it. Yes, they are, for maybe a couple of days, because now we know these phones are addictive. So I would like you to try to walk up to an alcoholic and take the beer away from them. Even with the alcoholic, he or she can rewire their brain and have a beautiful life.
What a man thinketh, so is he. This podcast will help you rise to your potential. With a mindset shift, you will put your skills and talents to the highest use and shine with a spirit of excellence. We are building a leadership community, a hub for the leaders of today and tomorrow, because it's time for a mindset shift that will lead to a paradigm of wealth, health, spirituality, and relationships. Please welcome Lady Doris Choto.
We are back to another powerful episode of the Mindset of Excellence podcast, the space where we grow, where we heal, we lead, and we rise together. I am your host. I'm Lady Dee, and today's conversation is especially close to my heart because today we are talking about something that affects every home, every parent, every child, and every professional trying to live with a purpose in a digital world. My friends, we are talking about time, we are talking about focus, we are talking about joy, we are talking about imagination, and most importantly, we are talking about how to take our lives back from the screens. Your phone screen, your computer screen, television, you name it, whatever device you use. So today I am honored to be joined by an incredible woman who is leading this movement with grace, wisdom, and courage. She is the creator of the Planet FASSA, FASSA, the founder of Break the Chain Coaching, and the host of Let There Be Joy podcast. I love it. So here, her life mission is simple but powerful: to help children and adults rediscover real life, real play, real connection, and real joy. Please join me in welcoming Shannon Coulter. Shannon, welcome to the Mindset of Excellence podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Your smile is just making me overflow with joy.
Thank you. So do you.
Yeah, I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited to have this conversation. You are right. This is something that's affecting every single home and most of us, even me, who's out here leading this charge. These screens are ubiquitous. They are everywhere, and they are designed to get us addicted. And it is my mission to tell people about that, to give them the wisdom, the knowledge behind it. In this case, knowledge is power. When you understand that these are purposely made to get you addicted, it changes your mindset about them. It changes how you feel, how they are with you, and how you feel, how they are with your children, grandchildren, friends. So, and I have seen, since I started this 18 years ago, we can talk about that. I have seen how it is ripping childhood away from our kids, and it's ripping joy away from us. And one of the biggest things that it's ripping away, I think, is our imagination.
Absolutely.
And without your imagination, you there's so much you lose, because people might sit here and go, well, I'm just an accountant. I'm just this. Thank God for you, by the way, because I can't do math. But you might say, well, I don't need imagination. Yes, you do. You use it all the time, every single day. And I'll just give a kind of a funny example of it so we can get people to understand. When you go to a restaurant and you sit down and you look at that menu, you think about what that food you're ordering is going to taste like and what it's going to look like. That is your imagination.
Yes. Wow. I love that. I love that, Shannon. And before we dive in, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for choosing to stand in the gap for families. Oh. Thank you for choosing presence over pressure. Thank you for reminding us that imagination is not childish. It is precious. How are you feeling today? And what's bringing you joy right now?
Oh, I love that. You know, I'm not kidding, but I keep saying this. If you can see Dee, her smile is bringing me so much joy. Her presence, just being able to have this conversation with her, having someone thank me, that just brings me so much joy. And that kind of really leads back to what I'm doing, because she and I were raised in a way that we can have this conversation and look in each other's eyes and experience each other. And what started me along this journey 18 years ago, I saw how our children were being ripped away of those skills. And I'm sure everybody listening knows somebody in their 20s who cannot look in your eyes, who cannot have a genuine conversation with you. And they're missing out on this awesome moment that I'm having with Dee because they're so anxious by this kind of thing happening. And that is happening because of the screens. So, and we can talk more about that, but yeah, I'm joyful today because I get to come on here, talk with you, and share with people that this is not that difficult. It seems like it's this huge problem, and it is a huge problem, but it's not that hard for us to tackle. We have tackled things before. Two things that I like to bring up right away: the cigarette. Okay. Yes. They had 40%, I think, of adults smoking cigarettes. They were sending them to the troops. They had, fashion models, everybody coming out. They were saying it was how women, Virginia Slims, how women could have their independence and all of this stuff. And they were making it so appealing and so cool and so sexy. But all the time in the background, they knew what it was doing to people. They were hiding the research. They were making it more addictive. What did we do as a society? We made it that if you want to use it, you have to go and specifically get it. We took it out of the hands of our children. We put warning labels on it. We did that. Okay. And then if you think about it, when I was a little kid, Dee, probably when you were a little kid, you were not in a seatbelt in the car. We were like free flowing in the car. And then they realized how many children were dying because of that. So we, as at least in the United States, but now everybody wears seatbelts. And so I would say to everybody here, social media is the cigarette of the 2020s. We now know how bad it is for our kids. We know social media. We know the social media giants are hiding the research. I know Instagram knows how bad it is for young girls' bodies. Meta has all sorts of details about it. TikTok has all sorts of things. They're hiding it from us. So I know once we know these things, we are going to band together and we are going to take this stuff away from our kids and protect them. And then I know it might seem like, well, what if I take the screen away from my kid, they're gonna lose it. Yes, they are, for maybe a couple of days, because now we know, I've said it when we first started talking, these phones are addictive. So I would like you to try to walk up to an alcoholic and take the beer away from them. They're not going to have a positive reaction to you. No. But even with the alcoholic, he or she can rewire their brain and have a beautiful life. With the kid, all we have to do is give them something that replaces the screen. And that, what I'm trying to do is play, conversation, fun. Because your kids, just like you did, they want to do that. They don't want to be on the screens.
Oh, definitely.
They want to play.
Yes, that's beautiful. And I can already feel that today's conversation is going to bless so many lives, and so many people's lives are going to be changed because the thoughts, the teaching. Shannon, every powerful mission starts with the personal story. I really would like you to take us back. What was the moment in your life when you realized something has to change? This screen-driven world is costing us too much, as you have already indicated. So just talk us through.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have two pivotal moments. One 18 years ago, one a couple months ago. But yeah, what started for me is I'm a stepmom. And so when I met my beautiful bonus children, I met them when they were 4, 8, and 10. So this was back in 2007, 2008. So I'm a Gen Xer. So as I've mentioned before, we grew up playing. That's what you did. Our parents were not competing with this technology. We had to kind of take care of ourselves, get out and play, and we loved it. people joke about, how hard it was. We loved it. We absolutely loved it. So I meet these children. I'm trying to be cool. I'm 31 at the time. I always age myself by saying that, but whatever. I love people knowing my age because then they're going to be like, oh, I understand what's going on. Never try to hide that. So I meet them and I think I'm being awesome. And I tell them to go out and play. And they came back and literally 5 minutes later and said, and they called me Miss Shannon at the time. They said, Miss Shannon, we don't know what to do. And it freaked me out because I'm sitting there going, these are children. How do they not know how to play?
That is powerful.
Yeah, it sunk deep into me. And someone asked me recently, like, why? It's because when I look at my childhood, I just said that my whole memory, and I think if anybody here listening to us, if they can shut their eyes and think of your favorite childhood memory, I guarantee not a single person is thinking about anything they did on a screen.
So relatable.
Right? It's not something that you don't remember playing video games. You remember when you were swimming, jumping, running, playing tag. So I know that is something that was so powerful to me. And I can't stand that during their childhood, we are ripping that away from kids. I want to share that thing that I love so much and make sure everybody gets a chance to do that.
Yes.
So what happened was I was a communication consultant at the time. And so I would go into different companies in corporate America and I would communicate benefits to them. It could be like, a medical plan to sign up for, a stock plan. But toward the end of my career there, we started doing wellness programs. So health incentive programs. You do something healthy, the company would reward you points, and then you could save the points and buy something. It was changing lives. And I was loving it.
Oh,
and
man.
I said, I just loved it. And I said to my boyfriend, now my husband at the time, I said, why don't we just grow people up this way? Like, why are we having to tell them to eat right and walk and not smoke? Like, why don't we just tell people this? And at that very moment where I'm having that epiphany about adults, I meet these 3 kids. And
yes.
I say, okay, let's grow them up with these healthy habits. And I had started doing research about screens because I had noticed that they were on screens all the time. And that seemed to be affecting their ability to play, their ability to have resilience. Even when we go out, they were more scared of things than we were. So those 2 things kind of came together and I left my corporate America job and I started a company, Planet FASSA, and I can explain the name back then. And just to make this really short, there wasn't a big audience for it because people didn't understand. For some reason, I knew in my soul that this was going to be a problem, but we didn't have any of the research back then. This was before the smartphone came out. I just was like, this is not going to go well. So there's a long story behind it. We ended up shutting the business down in 2012, maybe. But I never stopped dreaming about it. And I always do it. You needed it. But there's a long story. I ended up being able to raise my stepkids. So I got to be a mom. I got to be a parent. And then when 2020 came back around, the youngest was a junior. And then I really saw what screens were doing. And I was like, okay. And so I started redoing this. And here I am today. So that's kind of the story. The other moment that really had an effect on me. So 2020, I start kind of looking at the stuff again. Now there's all this research coming out showing that it's rewiring brains, showing that it's having this horrible effect. The depression is through the roof. The anxiety is through the roof of our kids. And they're linking a lot of it to screens, the ADHD, all of this stuff. So I have children's books. I rewrote them, to get them a little bit more like I liked them. And I start massaging this. And 2 things happened this past summer, the summer of 2025. I went to this thought leader conference and I'm going on podcasts. And every time I went on podcast, the host would say, what are you doing for adults?
Yes.
And I said, well, I don't know. I'm focused on kids. And that kept coming up and it kept coming up. And then this moment, our youngest is now 22. So the kids are 22, 26, and 28. And he's here on a Saturday night in August, and I'm just so upset about it. And I raised my kids with the Planet FASSA thing. I have 3 healthy, wonderful, imaginative children. We did this with them. But had I known what I know now then, I would have taken the screens even more away.
Okay.
Because I'm talking to the youngest one, and he's home on a Saturday night. And I'm like, come on. I go, don't you want to go out? Don't you want to be with your friends? because they can just be on their phone all night. They don't have to drive around and find people to have a life, right? They go on their phones, they text, they're missing out on that. So I said to him, like, don't you want to go out? What's wrong with you? Kind of. And he looked at me and he said, it's not our fault. Oh, and I realized that it isn't. So we put them on these phones, we put them on these screens, and their brains wired in a completely different way than ours. So while we are craving this contact with each other, this going outside, this interaction, that part of their brain didn't wire like ours. So it indeed is not their fault. So, right? So he says that. I've got all these people asking me, like, what are you going to do for adults? So I did a deep dive into the neuroscience behind what's going on.
Yes.
And it changed everything. My passion for the kids is even more out of control. But now I have that break the chain class for adults, because the horrible thing is, like I said, with the cigarettes, they know what this is doing to us. It's designed to get us hooked. They use things that they found in rat experiments. They're doing it to our brains. Even the colors they use, the algorithms, it's all purposeful, because we're not the client of the social media companies. They're selling us to advertisers. So they can manipulate us. They can get us to buy stuff. And I know that's happened to everybody. You're sitting there feeling a certain way, and I can freak you out if you want me to about that.
Because the audience need to know, because it's not just professional. It really deeply personal for you. Would you say this journey also involved healing your own relationship with technology? And as you're saying, looking at that point where your child is telling you it's not our fault.
Yes. I will say the amount of grace that instilled on me to be able to have for everybody else. So and I'm talking about this and teaching this class and saying, we screwed up. Yeah, we didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea. So we have to have grace with ourselves that, you know what, we didn't know that this babysitter we were using was toxic.
Yeah.
Right. So it's this grace thing that we have to have with each other. But the cool thing about it is all the research I've done shows, like I brought up about the alcoholic before, we can rewire our brains.
Yes.
So it's simply trying things in your everyday life. And you asked about me. I'm teaching this course. I had to do these things. I can't be a hypocrite and tell you not to be on your screen, and then I'm sitting on it the whole time. You know what I mean? That doesn't work. So I've had to watch myself. I have to see how I feel after I'm on the screens for too long. But so there was a thing that I had to do to not be a hypocrite myself. So if I'm going to tell you to do these things, I have to do them, and I have to be able to tell you how much joy it's brought me.
Yes.
It's also a forgiveness of myself. Of like, okay, I should have done more with my kids, but here's what we're going to do now. But it's also a finger wag that I can say to people, now we know, so we have to fix it.
Absolutely. And one thing I'm admiring about your work is that you are not just focusing on children. You are also addressing the whole family system. And from what you're saying, how is the screen overload really affecting children emotionally and socially? You've kind of touched on that when you just said they're spending so much time on these devices. What is that looking like affecting socially now?
Yeah, I'm going to grab something because I want to make sure I say this right. Okay, I have a little note here, and I sometimes forget the word, so I write it down. So there is a book called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. I love that book. I wish he had done it, and back when I did this the first time, but we didn't know. So he's done all this research, and I think the thing from it, and it's about Gen Z. So Gen Z is the first generation to go through puberty on social media. So I want you for a second to imagine how hard that must have been for them. So, when I'm going through puberty, 7th, 8th grade, and, through high school, it's hard enough to have your personal brand, let's say, quote unquote, at school, but at least you get to go home. You just have that one thing to do. You get to go home. You get to just be by yourself. If someone wants to get in touch with you, you're making a phone call, right? Imagine having to have that plus a brand on social media.
Wow.
Plus think about everybody here. I don't care who you are. I know this has affected you unless you are like amazing. So you know what, the amazing people, but all of us have seen other people's Facebook post, Instagram, whatever you're on, and it's the highlight reel of their life. And unless you are perfectly in grace every single day, you compare yourself to that.
Yes.
You know you shouldn't, but you do.
Mm.
You got to like snap out of it. Imagine that as an 8th grader.
Mm.
Imagine how bad you'd feel about yourself.
Jeez.
It's hard for me in my 40s. How hard is it for a kid going through puberty? Plus, there's the missy outies. Plus, on top of that, there is also the fact that they're seeing this horrible news. You know, like when the Challenger happened, that horrible thing that happened in the 1980s, we all saw it together and then we all grieved it together. They see the Challenger every 5 minutes.
Yes, they do.
So it's that. And then it's just the thing that's happening to our brains. It's the constant stimulation, right? Constant stimulation, constant sounds, constant all that stuff. So then it's just making your brain crazy. So what's happened is that they are stuck in anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So anxiety is a good thing if it gives you like, you know, you're walking into a room and you get this little anxious feeling. You're like, oh, something isn't right here. And then it shuts off. Their anxiety isn't shutting off because they're constantly getting those pings. All the stuff I just said to you just has kept them
all the time. It's perpetual.
Perpetual. So they're just, everything is the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Wow.
Okay.
That's
and
huge.
then And so what the piece of paper I took out, this, I got this from this Jonathan Haidt. He said there's defend mode and discover mode. So discover mode is awesome. Discover mode is when everything you see is a new opportunity. Your brain is in this mode. You're just excited about it. I'm coming to be on this podcast today. I'm so excited to get to meet Dee, right? Like, I'm like, this is great. I go to college. Everything, every class is new. It's cool. I go out with my friends. I'm discovering. He likened that to like a lion. Because a lion is like out there, they're like, no one's going to eat me, right? And they're like, they're calm, relaxed. They're a bold lion. But then there's defend mode. And that's what these kids are in. Everything is potentially bad. They're scared what people are going to think about them. They're scared they're not going to be the best. You know, they are always worried they're going to do something wrong. Okay. And I liken them to the squirrel because the squirrels are constantly, or bunnies, they're constantly looking around going, who's going to eat me? Right. You know, they're prey. Yes. So what I like to say is like, we have raised a bunch of anxious squirrels, but God created them as bold lions. And we have to get the bold lions back. That's what we need to get back because they don't deserve to be anxious squirrels.
Absolutely. And for the children, that's for the children. And when you think about that compared to the adults, how does that look like then?
So for me, one of the problems that's going on with the adults, there's two things. Our brains can rewire too. So I just read an article, and do not quote me on this, everybody. You'll have to go deeper into it. But I just watched it. They are showing that like the older generation, because they're starting to doom scroll, it's having effect on their brains and bringing them more into dementia and stuff like that. So it's like, right? So there's that part of it. So with the kids, they're not getting the training they need. So one of the reasons I want them to go out and play, when they're out there playing, their brain is getting the training it needs. You know, neurons that fire together, wire together. So they're out there, they're learning problem solving, they're learning debate, they're learning all these different things. They're learning how to lose, right? Yes. And they're learning patience and delayed gratification. And so that part of their brain is getting big. And so when they get out into the real world, they can have conversations. Yeah. Well, if you think about the older person, they're now shrinking that part of their brain and, you know, getting the part of the brain that needs constant stuff and noises and, you know, all the dopamine hits. Basically, it's all dopamine. So it can happen on either side. So what I'm seeing with the adults is we're kind of putting ourselves into that. We're losing our patience. We all think we're multitasking, but it's actually mental fragmentation. Studies have shown we switch tasks unless we watch ourselves every 3 minutes.
Oh my goodness. That is profound.
Right? And it takes us over 20 minutes to get back into deep focus. So how do you get anything done?
My goodness. So that then brings burnout, anxiety, distraction, emotional fatigue in parents, in adults.
Exactly. And the other thing is, if your kids see you on the phone all the time, they're first off, they're not going to feel very important. I think it's called flubbing. It's like phone snubbing. So they feel snubbed by you. They don't feel important. Just one look away at your phone from your kid makes them feel unwanted. So there's that. But also, if you're constantly looking at your phone and half answering them and constantly not present, that's what they're going to grow up thinking is normal.
They will normalize that behavior. Yeah. That is so scary. Let's talk about something beautiful now. The
Something-
Planet FASSA.
Yes.
Where did this idea come from?
So FASSA comes from Mufasa, so the Disney character. But I named my cat Mufasa. And so it was so all of my characters in my stories are the dogs and cats that my husband and I have adopted through our lives and absolutely loved. When I was in my 20s, I took in a feral cat and I named him Mufasa. And he was one of the funniest beings I've ever been around. And I was young and I said, I'm going to write about you one day. And so when this idea came to me, I'm like, oh, I'm going to write about Mufasa. But, you've got Disney out there and you do not want to step on Disney's toes. So I was like, okay, I'll call it the FASSA Tales. That's my books. And I changed it to FASSA so that it would be Fun Activities Story Service Awards. And I called it the Planet FASSA because when you come into the Planet FASSA, you're coming into a planet of Fun Activity Story Service Awards. So everything we do in that planet is getting kids to get out in the real world, play, use their imagination. Now, I am not screen free. I want everyone to know that I'm screen light. I think the screen has beautiful things it can do for us. Like everything else, there's good and bad. So Dee and I wouldn't have met without screens. We wouldn't be seeing each other right now without screens. Right? So one of the things, I've got the children's books, and the reason I have those for Planet FASSA is I have 7 main characters, and I wrote them based on my animals. My husband and I came up with biographies and everything.
Oh, wow.
But they each have a personality that I think everybody can relate to. So we've got, the goofy one, we've got the explorer, we've got the laid back guy, we've got the motherly figure. And, Dee and I were talking before we got on at how different we all are and how beautiful that is. And so it's kind of just a nod to that, so I have those characters. The books, are just fun little tales, but I'm having the kids explore their imagination. I give a life lesson in it. And if you do the whole book, it could take you a week to do, a month to do. There's all sorts of fun stuff in there, but I wanted to instill a value and then give the parents a way to talk about it with their kids. And then if we go a step further, we have an app coming out probably April or May of this year. It's called the FASSA Nuggets of Fun. And this is what really started this. So I have these 3 kids when I'm younger, and I really want to get them off screens, but I can only come up with so much stuff. I'm an adult now, right? And they come in, what should we do? What should we do? We are not charged to entertain our children. We're everything else to them. We don't have to be the chief entertainment officer as well, right? And I think people are experienced. Right? That's not our job. They should be entertaining themselves. So we have to give them the tools to expand their brain, to get their imagination cranked back up, to be able to do that. So they'd come in and they'd only be able to do a couple things because, like I said, that imagination muscle had atrophy. Well, every once in a while I'm getting annoyed with them. What do? I put them back on the screen. So then we're re-atrophying it. So I start going on Google and Pinterest and I'm trying to find all this stuff because that's what was available. And everything was so hard and perfect. Right? You had to have 8,000 different things and it's got to be this way. I cannot do this. That's not how I'm made. So what I did is I set out to create this. It was a website at the time. Now it's an app. The world is different. It's an activity database. And every activity is easy. You can do it at your house. You don't have to be a genius. And we tied them all to mind, heart, and body points, because that is what it takes to have a full human. And so you can go into the app and you can sign your whole family up. If you can sign grandma and grandpa up, babysitter, whoever, you each pick a character, to be your avatar just for fun. And then what you do is we've got this database and you can go in and just get the featured activity of the day, or you can search by if you want materials or no materials, to be indoor or outdoor, and how much time, and if you want to focus on the mind, heart, and body. And we give you dozens of activities that you can do right on the spot. Just like the health incentive programs that I was doing with adults, they're tied to those points so you can reward your kids with points. One of my favorite things about it is we give you the activity and then we give a challenge that we kind of twist it a little bit so we can show the kids that you can take something and do it a little bit differently. And then we have things to talk about. So we lay out questions for parents to ask their kids, which I loved because I was like, you get the one word answer. Well, now we're having a conversation based on something you did and you're getting points. So I'm incentivizing you and manipulating you to talk to me.
I love that.
So then they get points. And then the points they can save and get a reward. And the parents at this point in the app, they set up the rewards. And it could be as simple as you have a child, like stay up 5 minutes late on school nights. That's the reward. So they come home every day, they do a FASSA activity, they get the rewards, they buy 5 minutes up. It's just that. But the more they do it, the more they get the activities, that more that imagination muscle is growing, the less they need you to entertain them. So that's the idea behind it.
I just love that. Honestly, it just shows that creativity isn't taught, it's unlocked.
Yeah.
And from what you
I am writing that down. Look at quote by T.
I was just saying, shows that creativity isn't taught, it's unlocked. And our children have got these strengths and talents that are locked in them, and they just are waiting to be in an environment where these things they can shine, they can explore and make mistakes. They're not even mistakes. It's like, okay, I didn't do that well. What else can I do? So whilst you're on that, what changes have you seen in children when they reconnect with imagination? And for any parent listening right now who feels worried and thinking, my child has lost that spark, what would you say to encourage them?
Absolutely. So first off, I love what you said there. When they're playing, when they're doing this stuff, they are going to be so much better at making quote unquote mistakes as a child and as an adult, right?
Yes.
Because they're like, oh, it's not the end of the world. Well, right now you have these children who are so afraid. I said it earlier. They're so afraid to make a mistake because it is the end of their world. If they're out playing and they do something silly, it's just a challenge. So if they start building their brain like that, they're like, oh, okay, I'll just do it a different way. Right. So I'll just give the example of my kids because I've already told you about them. So I meet these three, they don't know how to play. So we start doing these FASSA activities. We start using their imagination, being less strict on the mistakes. I love that point. My favorite story is it was probably like 2 years in. I'm sitting inside and I hear the scream from the backyard. And it wasn't a scream that I was concerned that something was wrong. It was the play scream. There's a completely different scream. And I go outside and our middle child is chasing the youngest child around with a hot air balloon. And they are screaming bloody murder because they've convinced themselves that water balloon is Jaws. And I'm like, oh, there it is.
I love it.
It's so funny. And she looks at me and she says, Miss Shannon, using your imagination is the coolest. Come on. I told my husband, we get no more children saved. We got these three saved, right? And then as they're still doing this stuff, so it was just so wonderful. Then they started hosting the kids over to our house outside playing, being in charge of it. And it just got better and better and better.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm going to use this. I'm going to click this out and show people what you said. It is that they just need it unlocked and to be in an environment where it flourishes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wonderful.
I love that. So now let's get practical because our listeners love tools that they can use. I know you kind of talked about the app. If a family wants to start today, what are the 3 simple things they can do this week or today to reduce screen dependence?
So one of the things I would say is to set clear boundaries. So you decide, maybe you start, and you don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to rip the Band-Aid off. You can gently get into this. So maybe you decide this week, whenever we're eating, we don't have our phones. And you just set that. And mom and dad have to do it too, but you just put your phone in a different room. Whenever we're eating, we don't have our phones. And see what happens, see the richness that comes out of that. So that's one simple thing you can do. You have to model the behavior, mom and dad. You cannot say, I am 100% okay if there's different rules for mom and dad and kids. Okay, we are adults. We do get to do different things. But if you're going to tell them to get off their phone, you have to be off your phone too. You can't be looking down at it. So you have to model the behavior. And I think another thing that you can do is talk about the content on the phone, like what kind of things, if you have a little bit older kids, but talk about the content that's on the phone and why it might not be good for them we don't want them to be looking at, what you have to instill your values. You do not want the internet raising your kids. And then as you get into this, those are 3 simple things, because if you start having that conversation, they're going to start telling you if they do see something that's not right. So opening that conversation, And I also think that if you can get the dinner thing or the eating thing going, then what you can do is make it every Wednesday night we don't have our phones. So just groove into it. And you're just going to, and I don't think, personally for me, I don't think it works if you take something away and don't put something else into it. So something simple you can do at dinner when you don't have your phones. You can do Tell Me Something Good, the Shaka Khan song. You can sing that song and have everybody go around and tell me something good. Right. Yes. And maybe Wednesday nights, if you're not going to have your phones or the screens, that can be a night that you guys play a board game or play pickleball or something. So take the thing and put something else in it. Like whenever I keep going back to alcoholism, but when an alcoholic stops drinking, that 5 o'clock hour is going to be hard. So what am I going to do during the hour? I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do this. So show the kids that life is so much richer.
I love
off
that.
The phone. So
I love that. There's one thing you said that really struck me, that do not let the internet raise your children.
Oh, yeah.
That is scary. Just the thought of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think about it, go ahead.
When it's quiet, when children are quiet and parents are thinking, oh, yeah, they're quiet. What is actually happening there? What are they watching? What is entertaining them? And like you said, you need to be, as a parent, being curious about what your children are watching, what it is that's fascinating them. But here's a real question parents maybe struggle with. How do you set boundaries, which you kind of have touched on a little bit, without becoming the bad guy, without arguments or without resentment? What's your wisdom there?
Be okay with them being mad at you. That's just be okay with your kids being mad at you. Be okay with them being mad and bored. That's where resilience and creativity comes out of. So I think we've gotten to a point where a lot of people are wanting being their kids' friends. You're not their friends. And now I know if they're addicted to this technology, I said that in the beginning, that we're going to have a hard time getting them off of it. And I think it's having it depends on the age of the kid, but having a conversation, telling them it's hard. It's okay that it's hard. We're going to try these other things. We're going to learn more about you. We're going to get outside. And maybe I think that you like dolls and it turns out you like bugs. And I never would have known because we're never going outside.
Because we're never going outside.
So just giving them the view of the beauty of outside, finding things out about them, asking them questions. But I really mean this. It's okay if they're mad at you. You're not their friend. You are there to raise a soul. And
absolutely.
And so,
that's a huge responsibility. Yeah,
it sucks when they're mad at you. I'm not saying it's easy, but you'll get through it. And I like to say, is it better if they're mad at you when they're young and cute? Or if they're stuck living on your couch at 18, 19, 20 because they have failure to launch because you had them on screen?
Absolutely. Oh, God.
They really don't like you then, right? Even if they like you, they don't like you.
Won't like you then. But what would you say to parents who, because those devices are not cheap, right?
Right.
They are hundreds of pounds or hundreds of dollars. What would you say to parents? Because they could be under pressure because the children will say a friend has got an iPhone or has this all singing and dancing device. What do they say to the children?
I think it would be really helpful. I've talked to kids about this, actually. I talked to a group of 12 to 18-year-old girls, and that is a huge problem. And they were ones that didn't have phones, and they had lost friends to phones. I think the best thing you can do is find other parents who are doing this.
Yes.
And that's what I was kind of saying in the beginning is this is a thing we all have to do together. We have to lock arms with this. I know Australia just banned smartphones for kids until 16. I mean, I think that
is fantastic.
And so I think we all have to follow suit. And as bad, and I do, the missy outsies are horrible, but they're going to be horrible for your kids on the phones too, because they're going to see all the stuff that people are doing that they're not invited to. I mean, that's horrible.
Yes.
Yeah, it's horrible. And so it's going to have to be conversations. And I think finding other parents that want this too.
Yes.
Is a big deal because more people want this than I think we know.
That's
because
true.
Because they're seeing the bad results of it. And and again, the people who've taken my course, they are experiencing so much more joy and presence and peace in their lives too. So I think mom and dad are going to start feeling that too. Like,
beautiful.
It is better when I'm, because if you think about it, the world is upside down right now. Part of the reason it's upside down is because the media and social media, craziness gets views, right? Gets links, gets likes. That is not good for you. And, and I always say to people, like, maybe, like, let's say Dee and I have 10, people have 10 things that are about us. That's like way making it simple. But if we have 10 things about us each, most of us probably have 7 things in common.
Yes.
Okay. And when we're together like this, we're just focusing on what we have in common. Social media is going to throw the 3 things about us that are different and make us try to hate each other.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Yes, that's what they're
That's
doing.
right.
And we don't hate each other like that. We do not. And our kids don't hate each other like that. So it's just this decision that we're going to make that, hey, you know what? We're not. And that's what I was saying before. Like, knowledge is power. We're not going to let them manipulate us like this. We're just not going to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm
not saying it's easy, but it can be simple.
It can be done. I love that. And I think that what it does for all of us is to realize that you also coach adults to break the chain.
Yeah.
And I love that phrase because many of us are silently trapped and don't even realize it. What does that journey usually look like emotionally for adults who are going through the break the chain training that you coach?
Yeah. Well, I realized this a couple weeks back. If you think about it, it's called your cell phone, a phone that keeps you in a cell, right? Right? Like, yeah. So,
oh my God.
Oh
my goodness.
Yeah, right. So I would say that once people understand, the biggest reality is how the phone is made. It's mirrored after a slot machine. And I thought before I did this research that the reason people sat in front of slot machines is because they wanted the money. And that's not it. It's called variable intermittent rewards. It's because they get a reward every once in a while in a random pattern, and that locks our brains in. So they just get it, and then they don't get it, don't get it, get it, don't get it. And if you think about it, that's when you're scrolling through Instagram. That's when you're scrolling through YouTube. You get that, that video that makes you feel good. And you're like, oh, I want to watch that again. But then you get one that makes you feel crazy. And then you get this other thing. You're trying to find that good feeling again. That's what that is. And there's all sorts of, it becomes addicted. And because our brains are made like that. And that's the sick part about it is they hired behavioral psychologists to create these things to do that to our brain. Infinite scroll, how things don't stop anymore. It just goes to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. That takes out the natural stopping cues that our brain needs to stop things.
Wow. So we lose so powerful.
Yeah. So we lose track of time. So, when I point these things out and I give little challenges that people can do once a week to see how easy it is to break the chain, I have had people way reduce their screen time. Their sleep is better. Their morning routine is better. So one thing I'll just, tell people that I love, easiest thing I think you can do right now is tomorrow morning, instead of having I understand that your phone's by your bed, especially if you're a mom. Okay. You got to have the phone there. I have my phone, but I put it in sleep mode at night. I put breakthrough so my kids can break through. You can set that up on your phone. But what I want you to do is put a notebook over your phone. And when you wake up in the morning, instead of grabbing your phone and having your phone dictate the rest of your time, because you'll get on social media and that will just get your brain going in a stressful way, or you'll get an email and remember all the things you have to do in the day. And it will get your stress through the roof right away.
Yes.
What I want you to do is grab your notebook and write 3 things you're grateful for.
Oh, wow.
And 3 things you intend to do for the day. And these can be super simple. It'd be like, I'm grateful that I got a good night's sleep. I'm grateful for my pillow. I'm grateful for the breakfast I'm going to eat. It does not have to be, hard. And what do you intend to do today? I intend to call my mom. It doesn't have to be hard things, but you are setting your brain and your heart into gratitude and intention.
Yes.
And it completely changes your day.
Oh, that is amazing. So we just following on to that, why is it so important that adults heal first if we want children to change? And what one transformation have you witnessed that still touches your heart today?
Oh, yes. So kids are watching us. Like, you might not think that they are, but they are watching us.
Yes.
So they are 100%, if we're saying you can't do this, but we're doing it. Again, there are different rules. Like I say that, like, I understand, like, we can drive and kids can't. Okay. That's a different thing. There's an understanding there. But you can't be telling your kids, don't be on your phone when you're talking to me and you're on your phone when you're talking to me.
Yes, indeed.
Be present here. They're watching us. And if we're okay walking around letting this little rectangle box dictate our lives and not look up, then they're going to think that's okay. So we have to stand up. And I think as we stand up and we get our presence back, we get our joy back, we're going to love that and remember that so much that it's absolutely not going to be okay that our kids don't have it.
That is powerful. And Shannon, when you think long term, when you imagine children growing up in 20 years from today, what do you hope your work has helped shape?
I want to drive down streets that are full of laughter again. So when you go down a street, they're not empty, that you've got kids out there laughing and playing, adults talking to each other again. That would be everything to me. I would have finished my mission.
Oh, wow. That is powerful. So, and today, what does joy truly, truly mean to you? Not as a concept, but as a lifestyle in the context of what you're talking about.
To me, I can get somebody laughing and smiling and in their imagination. It breaks down this wall and we get to see the real person.
Yes.
So that's joy to me. And that's why I want people to let their guard down and just feel the world around them, because that's when we get to see the real Shannon. That's when we get to see the real Dee.
Absolutely.
And that is joy. And I'm going for that.
Yes, I love that. And lifestyle is part of that, is a lifestyle, because these changes bring a different way of living.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it will inspire you to go out of your house more. It will inspire you to want to contact people more. It was so funny when I started my class the first time, I picked up the phone and called people and they were completely freaked out that I was calling them. They thought something was wrong. It was like, oh my gosh, that's an eye opener to me. Right. And I talked to 20 something people and I was so filled with joy because it went from like this non-context texting thing to I heard their voice. I heard their laughter. We told each other stories.
Wow.
Right. And so that's the lifestyle. And I like to say we go from this like one, this 2D communication or whatever to this 4 senses where you get, I say 4 senses because I don't want people to be tasting each other.
Wow.
Like, oh, that's kind of weird. But like, how cool, like, this is wonderful talking to you like this, but how wonderful would it be to be in the same room and I could see you, I could smell you, right? I could touch you. And right? I mean, it just makes this whole different thing. And I think we've forgotten about that. Like how much we associate people with smells.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Is powerful because you can even, like, when someone walks in, you can smell their perfume. You can there's so much going on.
There's so much going on. Their hair product, whatever.
Yes.
They're like, oh, that person's here.
Oh, Shannon, you have shared so much wisdom today. And I know some listeners are thinking, I want more of this. I want to grow with this. For anyone who feels inspired in the audience and wants to explore your books, your podcast, or your coaching gently in their own time, where best can they find you? Where do they start?
Yes, everything is available at sscoulter.com. So I will spell that. S as in Shannon, S as in Sue. That's my name. And then Coulter is Coulter. So everything is there. There's the links to the Planet FASSA, to break the chain, to the podcast. It's all out there. There's a place to sign up for when the app rolls out that we'll be able to tell you. So everything is out there. I am super excited about it. We've made it as easy as possible because this shouldn't be a hard thing. So we want this easy. I didn't want to just come out here and say, oh, we have all these problems and not give easy tools to start, taking back control of our lives.
Okay. Can you please repeat that website? Spell it out for someone who has missed it the first time.
Absolutely. It's sscoulter.com. S Shannon, S Sue, Coulter. If you have a hard time remembering, I jokingly say it's SS, like Solar System Coulter, the Planet FASSA. So that's where it is. And like I said, it's out there. We're trying to make it as simple as possible, that in affordable, easy, so that we can together take back our joy and our patience and our happiness and our presence. And I think it's going to do well for everybody and our world. Right?
Yes,
So
I
people
love
have-
that. So before we close, Shannon, what is one truth you want every family listening today to carry with them?
Absolutely. That every single person in your family, including you, has a light on the inside of them. And if you can get their imagination going and have presence and look at each other, those lights will shine brighter and you will have so much more knowledge of each other and joy together. So work to get those lights all shining in your family.
That is amazing. Shannon, that is powerful. And I want to say this publicly. You are not just changing habits. You are changing futures. You are restoring connection. You are protecting imagination. You are reminding us that excellence is not about doing more. It is about living and living more fully. And I just think the more conscious we are, as you were saying, about the dangers of these devices and social media, the more joyful we are. And to everyone listening today, if this episode has touched your heart, share it, spread it. If it has challenged you, honor it. If it inspired you, act on everything that Shannon has said. And remember, your time is precious. Your focus is absolutely precious. You need to protect it. Every hour of your day is there for a reason. Don't waste it on social media. Your imagination is powerful. Like Shannon said, protect it. I am Lady Jojo, and this is the Mindset of Excellence podcast. And I absolutely appreciate that you took time, Shannon, to honor us and share your amazing nuggets. Until next time, live intentionally, lead courageously, love deeply, and use these tools that Shannon has said so you can be present and connect with your family, with your loved ones, with your business partners, and everyone you connect with. Much gratitude for each day. Take care of you and keep shining. God bless you. I really appreciate you, Shannon. You're doing some great work, changing the world. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. God bless you.
You're most welcome.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Lady Dee offers one-on-one and group coaching with 10 master keys. These systems and structures will realign you with what you were born to do. Lady Dee delivers hands-on coaching, training, and mentoring with boldness, empathy, diplomacy, respect, wisdom, and inclusion in a safe environment, breeding true community spirit. Sharpen your strengths, talents, and gifts to avoid pitfalls. Get networked with confidence to excel. Begin your journey today by going to careerleadershipcoachingtoday.com or dorschoto.com.